welcome to Holistically Speaking. I am Morella DeVoe, your host. My mission with Holistically Speaking is to be the avenue through which the voices of holistic health reach you at the time you need it most. And as you know, sometimes we have shows about physical health and we have alternative practitioners. Sometimes we do shows about mental health. And today I wanted to do a show that perhaps might be best categorized as spiritual health. We're talking about living with greater fulfillment and using tools that will help you achieve that. So it's going to be a show where I'm sharing with you some of the tools that I know that I've used that are pretty popular. But I want to start with a quote by Viktor Frankl. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." If you don't know who Viktor Frankl is, I recommend that you Google him and perhaps even check out some of his books. So Viktor Frankl inspired me to do this show in that idea that in the space between a stimulus and a response lies our freedom to choose what our response is going to be. To me, that is that in that space lies our power to create how we respond and how we engage with life. It's the proverbial count to 10, right? Before you respond, before you say anything or you do anything. And the reason why I thought it would be so meaningful and perhaps useful to you to have this show and to share some of these tools is because it always seems to be that there are challenges in our lives, challenges in the world, in the country, and in the state of things, in health, and relationships, and money, and career satisfaction, so many possible challenges in life. And a lot of times we can find ourselves in a place of feeling stuck and suffering because of the circumstances around us. And this idea, as Viktor Frankl said, that in the space between what's happening, what the circumstance is presenting, and our response to the circumstance lies our freedom, is really powerful. And all of the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you today are tools to help us create that space and really live consciously in that space of choosing how to respond and understanding how the circumstances in life are perhaps triggering us, are eliciting certain emotions, are reminding us or reactivating pain or fear, and all of these things. And so through the use of these tools, we start to develop greater skill, greater power to respond constructively and act in a way that is consistent with what we want to achieve in our lives. What I also want to share is that none of these tools have anything to do with religion. I know it's interesting that Vermont is apparently the least religious state in the Union, and I find that interesting. So in light of that, I'm not going to be sharing anything that's really religious per se. These are all very kind of non-denominational lay tools that anybody can use. And surely a lot of you have a lot of tools for awareness, for self-discovery, for growth, and for improving your fulfillment in your life. And so some of these might just be complement to what you might already do. Maybe they give you a different idea of how you might continue the exploration and continue the journey. So I want to start with perhaps what has been my greatest tool my whole life. I think I started journaling in my early teens, and so as I just said, my first tool is journaling. These are a couple of my journals. Sometimes I find really pretty books that get me inspired, or leather-bound books with lots of pages. And nobody taught me to journal. Nobody told me this is how you journal. A lot of times with clients that I've worked with and encouraged to journal, there's a little bit of a hesitation, a little bit of like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to write in this journal. What is it that I'm supposed to say? And journaling isn't like the old Dear Diary. Today, this is what happened. It's more of a practice of engaging with yourself and looking to to ask yourself questions and answer those questions, and to slow down the thinking process. Our thoughts are very quick and very fleeting, and pretty soon we're moving on to the next thing. And when you're thinking about something that's going on in your life, say a conflict in a relationship, or you're feeling challenged at work or by your boss, or maybe you're worried about your finances, whenever we have these circumstances that maybe challenge us, when we start to think about them, typically what happens is we run loops, we think in cycles and circles, where we think about it one way and then we just keep repeating that same thought over and over and over again. And sometimes we play out conversations in our mind and, just thinking the same thoughts over and over. But when you journal, once you write them down the first time, you don't write them down, you just wouldn't want to. And also, once the thought is written down the first time, you all of a sudden realize that there's space for thinking about it differently, looking at other angles, understanding why you're thinking about it in that way, what are the past experiences that got you reacting to this experience in this way. You can ask yourself questions. When in the past have I perhaps felt this same way? Sometimes if you don't have the skill, the habit for journaling, you can buy books that will help you with journaling. Books with journaling prompts, with interesting questions, lots of different things. And I want to read for you some examples of journaling prompts that might get you thinking, that might get you in the spirit of, oh yeah, I can get into the groove of writing if I answer some of these questions. So I just threw a list of prompts like, the best word to describe how I feel today is, fill in the blank. And that is because blank. It's the best word to describe how I feel today is blank, and just start writing. And that's because, and see what comes up. You can also ask yourself, what are the stories in my life that relate to this feeling? So you might say, the best word to describe how I feel today is frustrated. And that is because, in whatever that situation. So when else have I felt frustrated? What are typically the things that frustrate me? Another example of a prompt, what about my life would explain why I feel blank about blank? I'll say that again. What about my life, or what stories in my life, would explain why I feel blank about blank? So let's say that you're feeling angry at your boss because of something else. And instead of looking at that experience as just that experience with your boss and putting the responsibility for your feelings on your boss, you take a journal and start asking yourself the question, what about my life? What stories, what experiences in my life would explain why I feel angry when he or she does this? And it starts to give you insight into your own, maybe your own values, or the things that are important to you, or the patterns in your relationships that trigger you a certain way. And then you start to have a greater insight into yourself and a new opportunity to respond differently, to maybe speak to the other person differently. And you probably start to get the picture of why I am such a fan of journaling, and how it develops our ability to look deeply into ourselves, into our values, our motivations, our patterns of interaction, of our feelings, why we feel a certain way. As you surely know, if you take two people and you put them in the exact same situation, those two people would respond differently. They would have different feelings about the situation. So it's fascinating when we take ourselves as our own research project and look to understand, why is it that I feel this particular way in this situation? This is a good one. My life is blank, and that means that blank. My life is blank. What would you say? My life is fantastic. My life is everything I wanted. Or my life is a constant struggle. And that means that blank. So you fill in the blank. You also can do journaling pages on things like, what are the things in life that bring me the most joy? When am I the happiest? And see what comes up. Sometimes when we take the time to write those things down, we bring them to the forefront of our awareness, and then you have the possibility of doing them more consciously, of bringing those joyful things into your life more deliberately, and not just whenever they happen spontaneously. What is going well in my life? Practicing gratitude. What am I grateful for today? My car's running, the sun is shining, I have food, I had a great conversation with a friend, I'm really enjoying my work today. Whatever, journaling on those things helps us cultivate more positive feelings and not necessarily be bogged down by and focused on the things that are not going so well. Also, writing and reconnecting with the things you dream of doing. So asking yourself, what do I dream of doing? What do I dream of experiencing or achieving? You can also do things, writing for self-exploration on pain. What is the most painful experience I have had? And then you can say, my most painful experience has been blank. And I feel I have overcome it, or I have not overcome it because. And then we start to get into the space of really finding the tools to heal, to overcome pain, to overcome past experiences that have hurt us, so that, again, we're creating space where the events of the past or the events of the present don't have a hold on us. And we're creating that space to choose how we respond and how we engage with life. As I mentioned, I've been a lifelong journaler, and I have found that that internal dialogue has made me perhaps my own best listener, and really helped me grow from the patterns that maybe I repeated over and over in my life, in relationships, in my finances, in my attitudes towards work. And the more I understand myself, the more I can choose to create a new way of being that maybe improves on the ways I have been acting kind of by just the programming of so many years. Okay, so another tool that you surely have heard of, maybe have practiced or used, is affirmations. Using affirmations can be very effective, or for some people it can be very ineffective if not done the best way, if not done correctly, let's say. A lot of people will say, oh, affirmations don't work at all, and some people swear by them. And the core of it is, the affirmations need to get you to a place of feeling good, of feeling a positive feeling when you're saying them. If when you're saying an affirmation you feel like you're a liar, like you're saying something that really isn't true, that it's something that you don't quite believe in, there's going to be a disconnect between the words that you're saying and what you're feeling on the inside. There's going to be a part of you on the inside that's going to be saying, no, that's not really the way it works. So you could be just saying these words, and that's when affirmations just really fall flat. They don't get you into a place of acting differently, being in the world differently, because there's a big part of you that's just not believing it and not engaging with them. So the best affirmations are the ones that bring you incrementally into a new place of belief, into a new place of being, into a new place of relating to the world. And the best way to start is to write a list of the things you believe are true about a particular situation in life. So let's take money, for example, because it's a really good one to use affirmations on. So for those of you experiencing money troubles, and I know this one well, having gone through money issues and worrying about money and just feeling kind of stuck. So when we look at money issues, typically there are lots of different messages and kind of operating beliefs that are running our relationship with money. Things like, a lot of the common ones: I'm not good with money. Any money that comes in quickly goes out. Or the classic, money doesn't grow on trees. Or I have to work really hard to get money. Or money doesn't come by easily. So sitting with your situation with your money, and this is just as an example, or it could be your relationships or your health. That's another phenomenal place to look at your operating beliefs and the things that you tell yourself. You write down, what are all the different things that I believe are true about me and money, or about me and my health? What are all the things I believe are true? What are all the things I tell myself are true? So I just did a little list on money. About health, things that maybe we create as part of our identity. I am overweight. I am hypertensive. I have high cholesterol. I have acne. I have bad skin. Oh, that whole pattern. I have a bad back. I have a bad leg. Whatever. I have bad knees. All of these different messages that we give to ourselves really limit our body's internal ability to heal ourselves, because we're constantly repeating the messages in our body that this is true and this is the reality that we're going to be able to create. So I'm overweight is a classic identity forming limiting belief. So what you do once you identify those limiting beliefs is to start to write statements of what you want to create, of the new possibility of what's out there. So going back to money, if you find money doesn't grow on trees, or money is hard to come by, or I never have money, I never have any money, those sorts of statements, you can start writing statements like, let me just see if I wrote one over here, money can be easily and joyfully earned. Surely you've seen people out there that make money like that. So that's true. Money can be easily and joyfully earned. There are people who love what they do and make lots of money. So it is true that it is possible to joyfully and easily earn money. So you can say something like, money can be easily and joyfully earned, and I am willing to be worthy of that truth. So let's say that you don't want to say an affirmation like, money comes easily and frequently, because when you say that, something in your subconscious mind and inside you says, that's not true. It's not coming every day. It's not coming frequently. It's not coming easily. So you might say something like, I am willing to start to believe that money can also come easily to me. And so you see that subtle shift where you say, I am willing to believe that money can also come easily to me. I am willing to start creating new money habits. I am willing to become a person who is wonderful at managing money. This was one classic for me. Years ago, I would feel and believe that I wasn't good with money, that I just didn't know how to manage my money. And so I really wanted to change that, and I started saying, I'm willing to become a wonderful money manager, something along those lines. I am willing to be a masterful money manager. And so that gradually started shifting. So you can see how you can use affirmations in a way that gradually gets you moving into something that you can actually believe, and that starts to create a whole world of possibility. Because the beauty of affirmations is that it starts to create space in your subconscious mind for new possibility. And once you do that, your subconscious mind that is aware of billions of data inputs any given moment, your conscious mind can only handle a handful of bits of information at any time, but your subconscious mind is aware of billions of data inputs at any time. When you start to open up that window of possibility, guess what your subconscious mind starts to feed you? It starts to find all of the evidence out there, all of the little bits and pieces of information that are going to support that new statement that you're now opening yourself up to. And that's where affirmations start to create a whole new field of you engaging in the world. So with like body health, for example, the things that you can start cultivating in terms of affirmations and shifting your messages and your statements and beliefs about your body. So let's say with weight, Instead of remaining in a place of constantly telling yourself, I am overweight, I have high cholesterol, I have a heart disease, whatever you're telling yourself is, I'm willing to believe that I can create better health for myself. And that's just an incremental affirmation. I am willing to believe that I can find the perfect people to help me. I'm willing to believe that there are subtle little steps that I can take every day. I am willing to create a new reality for health for myself. So we're not going from I am overweight to saying I am fit and healthy and, 120 pounds. You're saying an affirmation that leads you into a new place of being and a new way of engaging with yourself and with your life. And then you can also find things like, this is a little box card by Louise Hay. It's a 64 card deck, and you can pull a card any day. And this one says, I am willing to change. And on the back it says, I am willing to release old negative beliefs. They are only thoughts that stand in my way. My new thoughts are positive and fulfilling. Another one says, I accept my uniqueness. So things like this. There's another one over here that I often use. This is by Don Miguel Ruiz. He wrote the 4 Agreements, and this is a little card deck with little affirmations and different statements. So you can find really cool, fun tools like this to experiment with and to get you shifting into a new place of thinking. So let's move on. Another phenomenal tool that has shifted my life profoundly is being a part of a support group or a growth group. My sister is a member in a couple. I was a member in one group for about 3 years. We called it our Goddess group. I'm now in another group, and we call it our Soul Tribe. And what these support groups can be, and sometimes they can be facilitated by someone, or they can just be the group self-facilitating. And what finding a group like this is about having the container, the structure of recurring meetings where you come together to listen to where you are in your life, what struggles you're maybe dealing with, what's your growing edge, where do you want to move to in your life. So these people get to know you very deeply. They start to learn about your patterns. They start to learn about the things that you tell yourself. And the ways also in which you maybe hide from yourself, from your truth, or maybe sabotage yourself. So these groups are such a miraculous place to be in because they'll support you, they'll challenge you, because in many cases they'll see the gifts in you that maybe you don't want to see or you can't see. They'll challenge you to grow in new ways. They'll maybe call you out when you're creating excuses for yourself or kind of staying back in your old patterns, falling back into old patterns. And so groups like this are a phenomenal place to have a mirror. And it's also incredibly nourishing to be that support for somebody else, to witness somebody's beauty, somebody's strength, somebody's gifts, and also reflect them back to them and support them on their journey. So if you haven't ever experienced this, and this is something that is appealing to you, you can look in your community to see, sometimes churches have groups like this, or a book club is one way of a support group organized around a topic. But you can create a book club that revolves around topics that relate to personal growth, and so you can discuss the book topics as they apply to your own life and as they're helping you grow in your own life. So you can create your own group. You can call it whatever you want. You can find the people in your community that you want to spend time with and that you feel you can trust and that you would also want to support. So support groups, masterminds, growth groups, phenomenal tool for you to consider. The next one is something that I have gotten into recently. It's a practice that I have been wanting to do for years. You probably have heard of it. It is the practice of the artist's way. This is a book by Julia Cameron. She has written many books on this topic. This is the first one she wrote. And the origin of this is for artists who are stuck, who are blocked, and looking to reignite their creativity. She actually calls it The Artist's Way, a spiritual path to higher creativity. I don't necessarily consider myself an artist, but the truth is that we are all the creators of our own lives. And whether we are creating a life that is joyful and feels really rich for us or not, has a lot to do with our ability to find that deep source of creativity, to connect to the source of creativity within us. So this is a wonderful book, and it's organized in weekly, almost like weekly lessons. So each week you're doing your own little workshop. And one of the tools, one of the core tools of The Artist's Way is what she calls morning pages. So first thing in the morning, you write 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing, whatever flows through your mind. Sometimes you find yourself writing a letter to someone for something that has been left unsaid or something that you feel needed to be said, and maybe that person is still alive or maybe they've already passed on. Sometimes you find yourself just venting about the frustrations of the previous day or your dreams, or sometimes you get a really powerful idea to solve a problem, or a new project that you want to do, or someone you would like to see. And the morning pages are a phenomenal repository for all of the things that flow through your consciousness in the first few minutes of the day. And then they're there. There's also a lot of garbage that flows through our mind, a lot of criticism, a lot of self-judgment, a lot of maybe judgment of others, maybe a lot of mental chatter about things that really are not so constructive for you. And dropping them down in the morning pages, they're not something that you're going to read again. In fact, she encourages that whatever you write in morning pages, you never read again, maybe burn them. Nobody's going to read them. So it's a great place to dump everything, all of that chatter, all of that noise in your mind. And when that's dumped on paper, there's the space for creativity, for getting productive, for going on with your day and solving problems in a new way. The next thing I want to share with you is some books that might help you in your journey as well. So the first one is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, the one I showed you. If you need help with journaling, there's this book called Journaling, How to Write a Journal in a Way That Improves Every Aspect of Your Life by Kial Robinson. And then the next 3 are some of my favorite for just general inspiration. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The Invitation is a very popular book by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. And of course, A Course in Miracles, which is a profound kind of spiritual journey book. And finally, what I want to wrap up with is the idea of having what some people call an hour of power. And it is that you choose to start your day every day consciously, not starting your day on Facebook or email or even the news or whatever else is going on in the world, but actually to bring the first hour in your day to be about yourself, about your goals. It could be journaling, it could be morning pages, it can be affirmations, or doing yoga and dancing and reconnecting with your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, who you want to be in life. And start your day from that place of power and choosing how you're going to create your day, how you're going to engage with your day, as opposed to whatever else is out there. I promise you, it can shift your life in profound ways. So I hope that these tools were helpful for you today. I wish I had more time because there are many more, but I wanted to focus on the ones that are really, really transformative and can lead you to tangible change. Your life is for you to create, and I hope you'll take some of this home. I'll see you next time, and take care.